campus. So we were on to Bloomington. Our first home was here in Bloomington in this building. It's called Everman Apartments. It's married student housing on the campus of IU. A four-story building with no elevators. Here's the front of it. The main entrance. We weren't there. We were on the very back. We were on the top floor there, the fourth floor, along about the sixth or seventh window in, I believe. We had to carry everything up 3 flights of stairs to get there. It was a very small apartment, really an efficiency or studio apartment, one big room with a very tiny little kitchenette off one side. The table there on the left pulled out of a buffet. It telescoped. It came out. It would seat 8 people when you had it pulled all the way out. But we had the room divided up into areas. This area, of course, is the dining room in this corner, and then the next corner is the bedroom. The regular bed that came with it was a hide bed that you really couldn't sleep on. So we had rented this rollaway bed and had it set up permanently. The doorway there in the corner is a closet, a large walk-in closet, and you went through the closet into a really tiny bathroom. This is the living room corner of the room. Living room and study. And then the fourth corner is where the entrance is. You came in through that foyer. The door you see there is a door to a storage closet. The room was really what you'd call cozy rather than spacious. But we didn't mind. We had each other. We did have also a very nice view out the window of the trees on the hillside. I was busy on the campus, of course, during the week, but on weekends we would take the car and go exploring around the countryside. There was a lot to see, and we really enjoyed traveling around and seeing what Indiana was like. A lot of covered bridges in the area, some of them quite old. We enjoyed the names of some of the little towns and settlements, such as Bean Blossom, which is where that bridge was. This is a crossroads, really, called Stone Head, and the Stone Head is there on the post there at the extreme right of the picture. It's a mile marker. This is really out in the country. I used to say that I learned the meaning of the word rural in Indiana. Here's a pig farm. Pigs are ubiquitous in Indiana, especially in the fall. They're very large pig farms that grow very large pigs. This one happens to be near Columbus. The trees were starting to turn. It was a beautiful fall that year, and of course I didn't have a lot of experience with fall, and I was really quite intrigued with all the colors as the trees began to turn color across the campus. It's the Student Union building, by the way. And so with my camera I took a lot of pictures. Here's a view across the campus from Everman looking at the other married student dormitories. The big building there on the left, the tall building on the left, is the one that we later wound up living in, called Campus View House. But as the trees turned color, we took the car and spent a lot of time out on the highways and the byways, seeing the country. One of the trips that we took was down to Kentucky. The weather was getting cool by this time. You see Connie's wearing a pretty heavy jacket there. We went down to Kentucky to the bluegrass area and into the mountains, thinking that we would really see more fall colors there than we would in Indiana. The horse country around Lexington, the bluegrass area where they raise the racehorses, is really a beautiful area. With lots of farms and lots of horses. The rail fences are common. This kind of stone wall is not that common. There's Connie standing by the wall with the big field of horses behind her. We went to Spendthrift Farm to see the horses. In those days, the stables were open to the public. You could go in and see the race horses that were being kept there. And Spendthrift Farm is rather well known, one of the largest ones, and had quite a lot of rather famous horses who were retired there at stud. You can't go into these farms anymore. They've been closed to the public for years because of problems that they had. But at this particular time, they were still welcoming people, and it was a really nice thing to visit. There's a stable. Looks more like somebody's nice house than a stable. Here is Majestic Prince. They had a number of these rather famous racehorses retired here. This one is Swaps. And this is Nashua. They also had a classic car rally there that day, and of course I always enjoy the classic cars, so I had a good time looking at the cars. A lot of money on display there that day. There's a Rolls Royce in the back, and I think this is probably an old Bentley here in the front. But we left the bluegrass country and went up into the mountains. The mountains in Kentucky, compared to the ones out west, are really more like rolling hills, but some of the countryside really is pretty rugged. This is Appalachia, after all, and there is a lot of poverty here. We really saw some very dismal scenes, quite a contrast to the wealth that was displayed there in the bluegrass area. This is a beautiful natural area, in the Daniel Boone National Forest. Road that kind of winds through this big canyon. A very scenic drive. And there's my bride again, posing by the guardrail. As you see, it was cool weather, really quite chilly. This is an entrance to a tunnel through that wall of rock. You can just see the tail lights or stop lights of a car down there at the bottom. It was a beautiful, bright, clear, crisp fall day. And we enjoyed our trip to Kentucky very much. So much so that we went back later that year. But there wasn't as much fall color here as we had hoped we would see. There was some. What we didn't realize that the leaves were really much prettier right there in Indiana, where we had come from. But we enjoyed ourselves nonetheless. It's a natural archway here called Sky Bridge. Similar on a smaller scale to some of the ones that you see out west. Of course, one of the differences here is that you can actually walk on the top of it. And this is all in that Daniel Boone National Forest. We had gone all the way to Kentucky looking for fall colors, not realizing that we had some of the most beautiful fall colors and scenery right in our own backyard, especially in Brown County, Indiana, around the little town of Nashville. Here we are in Brown County. This is an overlook near the town of Bean Blossom, the Bean Blossom Overlook. People came from miles around to see the fall colors there in Brown County. We were looking for another apartment back in Bloomington. Connie was pregnant, and I was tired. I didn't like her climbing 3 flights of stairs, so we were able to get a ground floor apartment in this building called Campus View House, another married student dorm. A high-rise building, as you can see. We were on the ground floor, although on the back side here it's the second floor. There's parking underneath. We had a large apartment compared to what we had. We had 2 bedrooms, living, dining, kitchen area. We're right there, the lowest balcony that you see. The two windows on the left are the bedrooms. We had sliding glass patio door out onto our balcony. We were really very, very pleased to have this apartment. Compared to what we had had before, it was really very spacious and very comfortable. Among the amenities was this balcony where we had a little bird feeder and a nice view of the hillside looking up at Tulip Tree House, the other high-rise dormitory. At Christmas time, we flew back to Miami to spend the holiday with my parents. Here we are in the living room of their house on 90th Court for Christmas season. Here we are set up for Christmas dinner. Actually, in the living room, we had must have had a lot of people for Christmas dinner that year. Here's my dad carving the turkey, and Pastor Groff helping his plate. In February of 1971, we drove to Sag Harbor to see Connie's folks. In the middle of winter and snow everywhere. It was quite interesting to see all these familiar scenes, by now familiar scenes, all covered with snow. Of course, heavy snowfall is not all that common in Sag Harbor. Here's the Barron's Cove. I remember seeing this scene on the day of the wedding, and we had a reception. And here's the ferry slip, Shelter Island ferry slip. Here's a view from the Yacht Club dock, looking out across the cove toward Shelter Island. Here we are at Long Beach, or maybe that's Short Beach. Here's the Otter Pond, frozen almost solid. And here's the Otter Pond again. And now here we are at Long Beach. Even the waves are frozen. This is the coldest weather I've ever seen at Sag Harbor before or since. Back in Indiana, it was winter time too. Here we are on the road between Bloomington and Nashville. One of the scenes in the campus parking area near our apartment house. And the view from our balcony looking up the hill to Tulip Tree House. It was an interesting view because of this hillside. There was always activity going on out there. The children loved to play. They'd slide, they'd toboggan down the hill. There's a little pond just over the little hill there down in the swale, and it was frozen, and they would skate. It was very entertaining to watch, although you didn't want to sit out on the balcony to do it. Here are some of them, I believe, skating in the pond. And here is a view of our parking area for our apartment house. The campus is actually out of sight to the right. And here we are back at the Bean Blossom Overlook, where we saw the fall colors a little while ago.